Git as a way of protecting yourself against making horrible errors. You can use Git to revert to your most recent commit if you haven't committed your mistake yet, or you can use it to go further back in time by resetting your entire repo to a previous commit, or by cherry picking a file out of a previous commit or another branch. First thing I want to show you is something called Git log. Git log actually shows you your commit history. This includes anything that's on GitHub. So if you're collaborating with somebody, when you do a Git pull, that pulls in not only the file changes, but also the commit history. So you can actually go through the commit history and see at what point in time you might want to reset to or cherry pick a file out of. Sometimes we do something, it looks like it works, and then we build upon it and build upon it and build upon it. And it isn't until much later that we realize that we had this horrible error, and the only way for us to fix it is to revert. That does happen sometimes. To get out of this screen, we hit Q. Takes us back to where we wanted to go. So the most basic of these things, I'm just going to make a mistake somewhere on purpose, right? So I know that my HTML works. I'm going to remove this closing script tag here, and I'm going to hit save. And if you look, the code completion and beautification stuff that we have set up in our Atom programs looks like it's showing us that things are broken, but maybe we don't catch it. When we look at our page, we see the JavaScript is broken. We're not sure why. Obviously, this is a pretty obvious solution. We could just put the script tag back, but say it's something more complex, or you're not really sure what you did wrong, you can just revert to your last commit. Your most recent commit is in something called the head. You'll actually see it here, head. If you do git reset --hard, that means you're going to do a hard reset. You're actually going to take the file and delete its contents and then rebuild them based on whatever's in the commit. The commit, the unique identifier of the commit comes after this. So in this case, we're going to say head. Head is shorthand for go into my log and grab the unique identifier for the most recent commit. My log is in reverse chronological order, as you can tell, and it has these weird characters after the word commit. This is actually a unique identifier called a SHA, S-H-A. And these hashes are basically a representation of a unique commit. Now, if I type in the word head, it will go and find the most recent commit and sub in that commit's SHA, basically. If I wanted to go back 2 or 3 commits, instead of typing the word head, I actually could just pick out the SHA that I want and paste that here instead. But I'm just going to use head for now. If I hit enter, if you look, my Atom updated, and now I'm back to where I was at my last commit. Now, if you say, oh, look, you know what? I think I made a mistake actually when I set it up to pull in the JS and the CSS. So the error came in this change, and I've already committed it. So reverting to the head gets me here, but it won't eliminate this. And my whole repo is messed up. So I don't want to just cherry pick out a single file. I want to take everything back to before I did this. Well, before I did this, I set up the skeleton files. So instead of typing head, I can grab this SHA, copy it, and do git reset hard, paste in the SHA, and hit enter. And it took me all the way back in time to before I did that, to before I added the JS and the CSS into the HTML file here. Now I want to undo my undo, right? Obviously I don't want to leave it like this. Well, if I do a git reset hard this SHA, I want to just do a git log to make sure that I haven't caused my whole repo to go back in time. So if I do a git log, yeah, look at that. Git log, those other commits are now gone, right? I can't undo that. The only thing I can do is reset to what's on GitHub. So in other words, I made a change. That reset, it made it as though these other commits never happened. They are gone. There's no way for me to go back to them from my local. But what I can do is I can say, hey, GitHub, could you take me back to where I belong? And the way you do that is with a git reset hard. And then I do @ curly brace, u closing curly brace. When I did that, it actually asked GitHub for the list of commits again, took me to the version that GitHub is set to, and if I look at my Git log, I have all of those commits back. So that is a great way to get yourself out of trouble with your entire repo. That Git Reset hard at you, that's super helpful, especially if you're collaborating with somebody and you're not really sure where things went wrong, where you guys are in conflict. If you know that the work that you have on your computer is something you can expend, you don't need it, you can easily redo it, but for whatever reason you can't get the conflicts to resolve between what's on your computer and what your collaborator has pushed to GitHub, you can on your computer do a Git Reset hard at you, and it will actually destroy any of the changes that are on your computer and force your computer to sync with exactly the versioning that's on GitHub, giving you an easy way out. However, you might want to just cherry pick out a single file from a previous commit, right? You don't want to revert, you don't want to reset. It's just that I am putting some terrible code here that doesn't work. For whatever reason, it doesn't work. I'm just doing it in comments now, but pretend that there's some kind of egregious error here. You made other changes to the index.html. And you know that whatever you've done in the index, you can't afford to lose. It will take you too much time to redo it, but you need to get the JavaScript back to the point where it last worked. You could do that with a checkout command. You do git checkout and then whatever branch you're on. So right now we're on master. Git checkout master, that command by itself we all know is the command to change branches. But if I specify a file path after the word master, right? If I say master main.js, what that actually is doing is it's me asking Git, hey, can you fish the main.js file out of the branch that I just specified? So it'll go into master, into the committed version of master, not your working version, which is what you're doing here. The stuff that's in yellow is not in master yet because you haven't committed it. Git checkout master main.js, and when you hit enter, it actually fished out the copy of main.js that was already committed, but index.html is left untouched. And that's it. Those are some pretty basic examples of using Git to protect yourself. You can use it to reset, or you can just check out individual file changes. This gives you a certain layer of security, a safety net, as it were, for when you're getting into more in-depth projects. It allows you and your collaborators to have a safe place to fall back. But as always, it's only as good as your last backup. So commit early and often, but only commit code that you know to be working. Never commit code that isn't working entirely. So do things in chunks, set yourself some milestones, and commit along those milestones.